welcome to another episode of Life as the Dog Mistress. We're in our Cocktails and Conversation series, and I'm here today with the amazing Erica Pefferman. She is businesswoman extraordinaire here in Columbia. We're having some raspberry coolers, and I hope you're as excited as I am to get to know Erica a little bit better.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I do want to let you know we're back here at the distillery. We're getting ready to open in about a half an hour. So things are going to be happening around us, some noises, maybe the ice machine, and so please give us a little grace for that. We try to keep things as authentic as possible. So let's get started.
Sounds good.
I have some pre-prepared questions. I'm a big fan, like I was saying, of Inside the Actors Studio with James Lipton. So I did I need to credit him for these questions, kind of in part. So Erica, tell me what you love about Columbia.
Oh. Well, that's a really easy question for me to answer because I'm blessed to be able to have my career around Columbia. You know, we have the magazine and both of my businesses are named after Columbia, but I love Columbia so much because of the texture of the community. You know, I love that it's small enough that I can go anywhere and see somebody I know or know something about the business, but it's big enough that we have live music and we have a great downtown district, and we have, big sports. I love sports, so being part of the SEC is huge, and being an hour and a half from Kansas City or St. Louis if I need to fly out, although I fly COU almost all the time. But if there's something, if you need something that a big city has, you're just really close to it, and I find that Columbia has everything I want. And I love the university feel. When we moved here 15 years ago, I loved my kids getting to see diversity. We came from a city that did not have any diversity at all. And I don't mean just in ethnicity. I mean in just the way people, where they're from and the languages that they speak and the way that they choose to live their lives. And so I would feel like, to make a short story really longer, is that I love Columbia because I was able to be a part of an area that is more worldly and still feel at home. So I enjoy that.
No, I totally agree.
And the food. I love the restaurants here too.
It's amazing. Just for it being a relatively small city in comparison to places like Kansas City or St. Louis, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally feel safe and have a good time. I feel like I can navigate and get any place I want to go. But I have all the offerings, and so I'm from a small town in northwest Missouri, and the same thing. Like, living here, there's an abundance of culture, there's an abundance of interesting people, and so I think that's
and
great.
live music, whatever your jam is, it's here. If you want art, you want live music, you like independent restaurants, you want sports, you want whatever, and so I really like it. That's why I probably.
I do too. Good. So talk to me about who has been a big influence on you.
Oh man. I have so many wonderful influences in my life, but the one that is really steady center for me was my grandmother. I called her Nana. And I know that's probably cliche, but it's like Mom, Dad, Grandma. I didn't have a really positive relationship with my parents growing up, and my grandmother was a very central force for me, and she was a businesswoman too. And so I grew up in a small family-owned business that they started in 1953. And she was tiny, she was like 4'10", and she worked in a really male-dominated industry, and everyone respected her. And I got to see how she took care of her clients. I got to see how she always went that extra mile for them, and how she negotiated her deals, and how she just was able to provide for our family for decades based on this. And I'm still trying to do things like she did, and she was a force to be reckoned with. And so if I think what I would do, or if I miss someone, or I want to talk to somebody about something, it generally comes back to her.
That's so interesting because we just did a little spot with Michelle Beatty,
yeah.
And she said her grandmother as well. Her grandmother ran the family farm, very Renaissance woman.
Yes.
And we were talking about how many, they were just doing what it took. Now we have all these categories, and we want to say, are women successful enough, and all these types of things. And they're really rock stars in their own right. and doing things without all the luxuries we have today, and just did it, figured it out. And so I just think that's really awesome that it does feel like that we are always looking forward, which I think is great, but sometimes it's really nice to look back and to see that there have been important, powerful women all along, maybe just not in the spotlight.
Oh, yeah. She was, and one of the most interesting things about her was that she was probably, one of the early feminists, and she hated the feminist movement. Hated it. She didn't understand why a woman couldn't be strong and feminine and more traditional with the family, or whatever, they chose to be. And so my views of feminism, which I really, feel very strongly about women being able to do whatever they want and be more equally represented and more equally paid. But they're probably still more from her version, I teach at Stevens too, and I listen, I get a chance to talk to these amazing young women. And as we're talking about what modern day feminists look like, one of the things that I remind them is that they're not all, man-hating or bra burners, and they haven't always been. Some of us, are just out, paving the way and just doing our thing. In different ways, but still feel very strongly about those issues. And she was one of them because she hated that feminist movement. But I would look at her and be like, but you are so representative of everything that they want.
You're doing it.
You're doing it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I think that's wonderful, and how great it is to have strong women role models. And clearly, like you said, it really puts you in a direction of being a strong woman role model for other people. So yeah, never discount what your family and what they are doing, how that shapes you. So that's super awesome. I love that. So what would you like to be known for? Of all the things, and especially since you're I think this is an interesting question because you're kind of a public face. And so I think a lot of times, and people get so much of their worth from their profession, but you as a person, like, if you're around town and you would happen in the grocery store about somebody saying, oh, I just met Erica, or I know Erica, or whatever, what would you like to be known for?
If I wanted to be known for anything, it would be like lifting people, like showing them their potential. I love that. I have a staff of 17 employees, and they're actually all women except for 2 guys, but I love doing it for them too. But I love listening to someone talk and hearing what they want to do and being able to connect them to that next step. Meet this person. Have you heard about this book? I'm famous for saying, have you heard about this book? And then providing my reading list of things, or buying a book or sending a book. Or, I just love that, because I want someone to, that was done for me. And there's a good amount of, just work ethic and persistence, and then there's the help you get from people. And so if I can be known as somebody that was that connecting step for people consistently, I mean, that would be cool. I would like that, yeah.
I often liken it, people ask me about, because I play a lot of roles in a lot of different places, and I said, I think for me, how I view it is, the old connect the dots, and I said, I would like I feel like I'm kind of like the pencil or the pen that helps get those dots connected, and so that's really awesome. And I know. So, as someone who really enjoys lifting people up and kind of being reflective and moving on to the next direction, my next question is, what advice would you give to your 12-year-old self? If you could look back and say, these are some good life lessons I've learned. Would have been good to know them a little earlier.
Oh man. Okay, so. So I was a real shit as a kid, okay? And, I say that. I was just headstrong. My family was, my mom was a single mom. I was the oldest of 3 girls. She worked a lot. She went to school full time. I mean, and we didn't have a lot. And so it was really kind of tough at times. And I was super strong-willed, and so 12, I think I was fine. At 12, I would have tried to, I actually don't know how I would answer that, because if I changed anything about my life, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
I love it.
I dropped out of school when I was 16. I got married when I was 18. I wish I hadn't done either of those things. I got pregnant when I was 20. I had 3 beautiful children with a man I divorced and had a horrific divorce. But I learned a lot from so much of that. I wouldn't have had my kids, and I don't think if I had left school like I did when I did, that I would have had maybe the drive that I've had to power through some of the things that got me here. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I would have told her to get counseling earlier.
What's your favorite word?
So this is a funny, I have an answer to that, and since this is going online, right, I can say, my favorite word's fuck. I mean, it is. I use it all the time. And we were out with a bunch of friends playing a game where we were going around asking those questions, like, what's your favorite word? And I said, and all my friends were like, absolutely. And then the next question was, what's your least favorite word?
That's what
my least favorite word is no. I hate being told no. And even if it's something that I don't want that much, but if I'm told no, I'm like, well, wait a minute. I think now I want it more. I don't know. I'm so cliche about that, but I don't like being told no, and I really like to say the word fuck a lot.
I'm totally down with that. Clearly, there's been a lot of conversations that have been, these walls here have definitely seen the worst of our marriage running a business.
Oh, I bet.
And
Of course,
so
I've seen it myself.
every single word, expletive, whether it be used euphemistically or not, has been used.
Marfire.
We are very fuck friendly. I hate to say it. We're very so
In all the ways.
In all the ways. Yes.
When I do a lot of public speaking, for things, and so people know this about me, and so they'll hand me a mic and they'll be like, "This is a no F-bomb audience," or something like
you
that.
gotta know that. I think.
And usually I kind of know that already,
Still.
but yeah. So that would be the answer to that question.
So, what sound or noise do you love?
Love? Oh man, I love so many things. But the first thing that comes to mind, listen to my kids laugh. But I think that's, probably a pretty generic answer. I also love listening to summer nights. I love sleeping with my windows open and listening to like the crickets and the frogs, and especially if it's raining. I love that. I just love all that country sound.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, a noise or a sound that you dislike?
With my ex-husband, this was a thing that he made fun of me for all the time because I don't like the sound of people breathing. He's like, I'm sorry, is it okay if I breathe around you? I'm like, but you gotta do it right. You can't do like this weird mouth breathy thing. I can't handle it. And my son, it's really not so much him, but my son Cameron, he's 18 now, and I can literally hear him coming across the house by the way he breathes. I knew it was him and not his brothers or his sister. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Or we were sitting watching TV and I hate it. I can't stand it.
All I can think about is like those scary movies, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, but then a lot of it is like that whole, they lead you up to like a killer part or whatever, and a lot of it's breathing.
Yes. I don't like breathing. I mean, I'm sure there's something else. I really hate when somebody taps me, because that's something else the kids used to do all the time. To be like,
hey.
Like this, and I will lose my ever-loving mind. So I'm just like, stop tapping.
That's awesome. I love
hate
that.
it.
I love that. Good to know. So what turns you on?
Oh, man. Are we talking metaphorically right now? I'll tell you about a day that I had a couple weeks ago. I am teaching a class at Stevens, magazine publishing, and just kind of sharing some of my knowledge, and I left that and went straight into driving to Vandalia and going to teach a class at the women's prison with my best friend Jessie Yankee and her program Aspire up there, and somebody you should definitely talk to. She's amazing.
She's on the list.
Good. You got to, because this program is one of the coolest things. And so I remember, I've been in and out, like, dating in your 40s is really challenging and different.
I can only imagine.
It's not fun. It's dangerous out there. And so I've been, struggling with learning about myself and learning about how to be in relationships, or whether I want to or not at this age. And I remember leaving Stevens, pulling through Starbucks, because that turns me on, and getting my coffee and driving to Vandalia thinking nothing feels better than this. Nothing feels better than being in my calling, which I feel is like teaching and making those dots and connecting things for people. And it was a really pivotal moment for me, because for me, I've been kind of seeking this fulfilling relationship, right? And it's very elusive. But in that moment, I realized that didn't matter. I was totally turned on and feeling amazing because I was, living out my calling. And that is something I try to keep in front of me all the time. It's really hard. Really hard.
I call that soulful satisfaction.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's a great moment.
So what turned you off?
I love inauthenticity. I love people that don't take personal responsibility. You can be like, even if we're talking about men, going back to relationships, right? In relationships, when you can be the hottest guy ever, which I find, I like kind of burly looking guys. But anyway, you can be the hottest guy ever, and if you can't be present and authentic, I don't care. Like, there's nothing attractive about that to me. And then if you're in business and you can't take responsibility, or if you're not fully engaged and you're not doing it for the right reasons, it's a total turn off. So I get the opportunity to tell stories for people, and we'll choose stories about people that are living like that and doing business that way versus someone else that's posing. I don't care. I don't want those people on me posing.
I love it. That's music to my ears. And speaking of that, probably a pivotal moment for me was, I think it's been 5-6 years, not long after we came here. One of my personal stories, or one of the things I was trying to do, was really challenge myself to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And so being kind of the person that's in the wings a lot, you all had Como Living had a model call, if you will, for
yes, I forgot about that.
Health and wellness, and happiness issue, or whatever.
Yes, I remember.
And I made myself go because I was like, this seems like it would be awesome, and I love like fashion and interiors, all that kind of stuff really resonates.
That's been a while. I remember that.
And
now.
So I remember just being mortified, like the whole time, but just doing it anyway. Yeah. And then when I got the call, and I don't even remember who called me, but they said, would you consider being like on the cover and what? And so I actually said, are you sure? Like, you're talking to me? Like, I was like,
do you have the right person?
Like, I was definitely an applicant, or I was definitely somebody that was there, but I was like, are you sure? So I was like, for days, I was like really worried that I was going to show up the day of the photo shoot and then being like,
oh, we made a mistake. Right. I'm sorry, Lisa. It's not you. We were trying to call. No, it was beautiful. But that was one of my favorite shoots, actually.
One last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear at the pearly gates?
So, heaven does exist in my world. And what I would love to hear, I feel like these questions are so... this is a great session that I relived with my friends not too long ago, so I had these answers because I answered them that night. A very easy answer, which is, I would love to hear, well done, good and faithful servant.
Awesome. Well, Erica, I cannot thank you enough for choosing to spend a bit of time out of your busy life with me.
No problem.
And so
you gave me vodka.
Well, of course. The vodka is always, I do have I'm not above bribing with alcohol. The good news is we make it here, so there you go. Cheers. So thanks everyone for joining us. You can subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on social media, on Instagram, Life is the Dog Mistress. I also want to do a big shout out. Can you talk about all your social media and all the ways that we can follow you and your amazing life and all the things that you're doing?
Yeah, so two main primary brands, which would be Como Magazine. So we're either on, did you know there's a magazine in Italy called Como Magazine?
I did not.
I didn't either until I went to get some of the social channels. some of the channels were Como Mag, and some we are Como Mag.
Gotcha.
So depending on what platform you're looking for us on, you can find that. And then
Como in the USA, not there you
yeah,
go.
Como somewhere here.
That's right.
And then Columbia Marketing Group is our other company that we enjoy and do a lot of work with. And then if you're just ever looking for some hilarious, sarcastic tweets occasionally, EPEF is my Twitter handle. So yeah, that would be fun.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
And much success. I'm excited now. I love to watch other people's adventures and cheer them on. And so it's exciting that we're neighbors now. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I can follow that a little bit closely. And I look forward to this not being our only meeting.
I hope so. Thank
Awesome.
you.